The bones of Perucetus colossus tell a story that challenged key assumptions about whale evolution. For decades, scientists believed that whale gigantism was a relatively recent phenomenon emerging in the late Neogene period as baleen whales evolved to filter feed in open oceans. But these 39-million-year-old bones suggest that massive whales existed in shallow coastal waters about 30 million years before modern baleen whale gigantism emerged. The discovery revealed that there were multiple evolutionary pathways to becoming a giant in the ancient seas, challenging the previous understanding that only filter-feeding baleen whales in open oceans could achieve such massive size. The fossils themselves held secrets that would spark intense scientific debate. In 2023, paleontologists working in Peru's Ica Desert made a discovery that fundamentally challenged key assumptions about whale evolution. The team led by Mario Urbina and Giovanni Bianucci uncovered bone fragments from an ancient whale that defied every expectation. These were not ordinary fossil bones. Each vertebra weighed over 220 pounds, making them impossibly heavy for their size. The ribs stretched an incredible 4.6 feet in length, dwarfing anything found in modern whale skeletons. When researchers first lifted these fossils from the desert floor, they immediately recognized they were dealing with something unprecedented in the fossil record. The bones displayed a condition called pachyosteosclerosis, where bone tissue becomes extraordinarily dense and heavy. While this phenomenon exists in modern marine animals like manatees and dugongs, Perucetus showed it to an unprecedented extreme degree that scientists had never encountered in any whale species living or extinct. Normal whale bones are porous and lightweight to aid in deep diving and buoyancy control. These ancient bones were the complete opposite, packed solid with dense mineral deposits that made them weigh several times more than comparable modern whale bones. The density was so extreme that individual vertebrae weighing over 220 pounds required special equipment just to transport them from the excavation site. The research team faced an extraordinary puzzle. They possessed just 13 vertebrae, 4 ribs, and part of a pelvis from what was clearly a massive marine mammal. How do you reconstruct an entire animal from such limited remains? The challenge became even more complex when they realized these bones belonged to a creature that lived approximately 39 million years ago during the Middle Eocene epoch. This timeline placement immediately raised questions about established theories of whale evolution, which suggested that true gigantism in whales emerged much later in their evolutionary history. Scientists began comparing the bone density patterns to modern marine mammals that exhibit similar characteristics. Manatees and dugongs, known as sirenians, possess heavy skeletons that help them maintain neutral buoyancy while feeding on seagrass beds. The bone density in these modern animals allows precise depth control without constant swimming effort. However, the density observed in the Perucetus fossils exceeded even these specialized adaptations by a significant margin, suggesting an animal adapted for an entirely different lifestyle than any whale alive today. The absence of crucial skeletal elements created additional mysteries. Without skull fragments, teeth or jaw bones determining the feeding strategy and behavioral patterns became nearly impossible. Modern whale identification relies heavily on dental structure and cranial features to understand diet hunting methods and ecological niche. The research team had to work backward from the limited post-cranial skeleton using bone density, vertebral structure, and rib configuration to infer lifestyle characteristics. This approach required making numerous assumptions about soft tissue distribution and body proportions. Early calculations attempted to estimate total body mass using skeletal to body mass ratios derived from modern whale species. However, applying contemporary whale proportions to these ancient, ultra-dense bones produced results that seemed almost impossible to believe. The mathematical models suggested an animal with a total body mass ranging from 85 to 340 long tons, though these initial estimates would later become the subject of intense scientific debate. To put this in perspective, the largest modern blue whales reach maximum weights of around 200 long tons. The upper estimates for Perucetus would potentially make it among the heaviest animals in Earth's documented history. These initial calculations suggested that whale gigantism evolved through a completely different pathway than scientists had theorized for decades. Rather than developing massive size through efficient open ocean filter feeding As seen in modern baleen whales, this ancient species appeared to achieve enormous proportions through coastal adaptation and ultra-dense skeletal structure. But the same bone characteristics that suggested such massive size also held clues about how this ancient giant actually lived. The ultra-dense skeleton that made Perucetus so massive also reveals something remarkable about how this ancient whale lived. While modern whales cruise through deep ocean waters with lightweight, flexible bones designed for speed and efficiency, Perucetus operated on completely different principles. The extreme bone density that initially puzzled scientists actually functioned as sophisticated natural ballast, allowing the whale to maintain precise position control near the seafloor without expending energy on constant swimming. This adaptation opened up an entirely new ecological niche that no whale had exploited before or since. During the Middle Eocene epoch, the coastal waters off ancient Peru created an environment unlike anything we see today. These warm, shallow seas formed part of a marine embayment called the Pisco Basin, characterized by exceptionally high nutrient abundance and rich biodiversity. The high primary productivity of these coastal zones could theoretically support enormous, slow-moving creatures that fed methodically rather than actively hunting prey. While contemporary whales like Basilosaurus developed streamlined bodies for active predation, Perucetus took a radically different evolutionary path toward coastal specialization. The contrast between these two basilosaurid relatives demonstrates just how diverse early whale evolution really was. Both belong to the basilosaurid family among the first fully aquatic whales, yet they evolved completely different survival strategies. Basilosaurus stretched about 59 to 66 feet long, with a streamlined body built for rapid pursuit hunting. Its elongated skull housed formidable teeth designed for gripping and tearing flesh from marine reptiles and other whales. Perucetus abandoned this predatory template entirely. Its massive, dense vertebrae and ribs suggest an animal built for deliberate, controlled movement rather than speed or agility. The bone structure indicates axial undulation powered by tail movement, creating slow but precise locomotion perfectly suited for navigating coastal environments. Without skull fragments or teeth determining exactly how Perucetus fed, remains one of the biggest mysteries surrounding this ancient whale. The absence of these crucial anatomical features forces scientists to rely on hypotheses based on its unique adaptations. The dense skeleton and coastal habitat suggest several possible feeding strategies that researchers have proposed. Bottom-dwelling mollusks and crustaceans would have provided rich protein sources accessible to a slow-moving giant capable of precise seafloor maneuvering. Scavenging large carcasses that washed into shallow areas represents another viable option, allowing Perucetus to capitalize on occasional windfalls of concentrated nutrition. Some researchers even propose the unprecedented possibility of herbivory, though this would be completely unprecedented among cetaceans and remains highly unlikely. The biomechanical analysis of Perucetus reveals locomotion principles that defy conventional whale design. Modern whales achieve efficiency through body flexibility, streamlined profiles, and rapid tail beats that generate forward thrust for covering vast oceanic distances. Perucetus appears to have evolved for the opposite scenario, maintaining position with minimal energy expenditure while feeding in productive coastal zones. The heavy skeleton provided automatic ballast control, similar to how modern manatees use their dense bones to control their position in shallow waters while feeding. This adaptation eliminated the need for constant buoyancy adjustments that other marine mammals must perform through swimming movements or specialized organs. This coastal gigantism model challenges fundamental assumptions about how marine mammals achieve massive size. Previous theories suggested that the largest ocean dwellers must be pelagic filter feeders capable of processing enormous volumes of small prey from open waters. Perucetus demonstrates that alternative pathways to gigantism existed in environments where concentrated food sources could support massive energy-efficient lifestyles. The warm Eocene coastal seas provided exactly these conditions, creating an evolutionary opportunity that no modern whale has been able to exploit. The discovery reveals whale evolution as far more experimental and diverse than scientists previously understood. Rather than following a single trajectory toward modern whale characteristics, early cetaceans explored multiple approaches to marine life. Perucetus represents one of the most extreme experiments achieving gigantic proportions through coastal adaptation and specialized buoyancy control rather than open ocean efficiency. However, the extraordinary claims about its massive size would soon face intense scientific scrutiny as researchers began questioning the methods used to estimate its total body mass. Within months of the initial publication, researchers across the scientific community began scrutinizing the methods used to estimate Perucetus's extraordinary mass. The core problem emerged when scientists realized that applying modern whale body proportions to an ancient animal with fundamentally different skeletal architecture might produce wildly inaccurate results. The original research team had used a two-step approach, first establishing relationships between skeletal mass and total body mass in living aquatic mammals, then scaling up from another Eocene whale called Cetus peruvianus to estimate Perucetus's dimensions. However, this methodology assumed that skeletal and body masses scale proportionally across species, an assumption that would prove problematic. Motani and Pyanson's 2024 analysis exposed critical flaws in extrapolating total body mass from skeletal measurements in pachyosteosclerotic animals. They argued that the original estimates overestimated how pachyostosis affected overall body mass, leading to severely inflated results. The researchers noted that the body outline reconstruction of Perucetus was already unusually robust for its estimated length, which further contributed to the overestimation problem. Their critique focused on the dangers of extrapolating beyond the range of data used to establish the original scaling relationships. Volumetric modeling approaches offered a completely different perspective on Perucetus's true size. Instead of relying on skeletal to body mass ratios derived from modern species, these methods created three-dimensional models based on body outlines and calculated volume directly. The results produced dramatically different conclusions, suggesting that the same skeletal mass could correspond to much lower total body mass when properly accounting for tissue density and buoyancy adaptations required for the coastal lifestyle that Perucetus had evolved. Paul and Larramendi contributed additional conservative morphological reconstructions that further challenged the original estimates. They questioned the length calculations based on Cetus, arguing that this reference species likely had a shorter trunk than initially assumed. Their revised skeletal diagrams and body length estimations of 49 to 52 feet led to mass estimates of just 35 to 40 long tons under realistic body proportions. The scientific debate illustrated how single fossil fragments can yield completely different interpretations, depending on the modeling assumptions and methodological approaches employed. Revised estimates eventually placed Perucetus at 60 to 70 long tons, on average still representing a massive ancient whale, but not exceeding the modern blue whale's maximum recorded weights. The rigorous peer review process demonstrated science's self-correcting nature, refining extraordinary claims through methodological scrutiny and alternative analytical approaches. Even with conservative mass estimates placing Perucetus at 60 to 70 long tons, rather than the initially proposed 340 tons, this ancient whale fundamentally altered scientific understanding of when gigantism first appeared in whale evolution. Prior to this discovery, paleontologists believed that extreme body size in whales emerged exclusively during the late Miocene epoch, approximately 10 to 15 million years ago, when baleen whales developed specialized filter feeding adaptations for harvesting krill and small schooling fish from open ocean environments. The dominant theory suggested that gigantism required the evolutionary innovation of baleen plates combined with lunge feeding behaviors that allowed whales to process massive volumes of tiny prey efficiently. Perucetus shattered this timeline by demonstrating that massive whales existed 39 million years ago during the Middle Eocene, pushing back the emergence of extreme body size by approximately 30 million years. This dramatic temporal shift forced scientists to reconsider fundamental assumptions about the relationship between feeding strategy and body size evolution in marine mammals. The discovery revealed that gigantism could evolve through coastal specialization and dense skeletal adaptations rather than requiring open ocean filter feeding capabilities. The implications extended far beyond simple timeline adjustments. Perucetus suggested that multiple independent evolutionary pathways led to gigantism in whale lineages, contradicting previous theories that portrayed massive size as a single evolutionary solution tied specifically to baleen whale ecology. The coastal gigantism model demonstrated that productive shallow marine environments could support enormous vertebrates through completely different mechanisms than the pelagic filter feeding strategy employed by modern blue whales and fin whales. Ongoing excavations in Peru's Ica Desert continue revealing additional basilosaurid specimens that provide crucial context for understanding early whale diversity. These discoveries include other massive basilosaurids with varying degrees of bone density and skeletal adaptations, suggesting that the Middle Eocene represented a period of extensive experimentation with different approaches to achieving large body size in marine environments. Each new specimen adds pieces to the puzzle of how early whales explored diverse ecological niches. Perucetus revealed whale evolution as a complex mosaic process where different lineages experimented with various approaches to achieving massive size rather than following a single predetermined trajectory. The discovery opened entirely new research directions focused on understanding early cetacean ecology, the environmental factors that drove gigantism, evolution, and the diverse adaptive strategies that characterize the early phases of whale evolution in ancient ocean systems. The discovery of Perucetus colossus fundamentally reshaped our understanding of whale evolution, proving that gigantism emerged far earlier than previously assumed. This ancient whale achieved its massive size, potentially rivaling or exceeding the blue whale not through modern open ocean strategies, but through unique coastal adaptations and exceptionally ultra-dense bones, pachyosteosclerosis. The ongoing scientific debate over its exact 60 to 340-ton mass highlights the rigorous process of science challenging initial assumptions and refining knowledge through scrutiny. As new, more complete fossils emerge, the full story of this colossal coastal giant will finally be revealed. If you found this insight into ancient giants fascinating, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more incredible stories from Earth's deep past.